And then these two, we got this week too. The big one is the male. He is the gander. His name is Dorian. And the small one, her name is Nemo. And you can see she's significantly smaller than him. Both of these guys are around 9 months old. So they are a mated pair. And I've had an interesting time. I've seen some people who have Ebden geese say that they start laying, it takes them up to 2 to 3 years. And I have some say that they lay the first year. And so obviously they were hatched this year. And so next year they may actually be old enough to lay. But I'm not incredibly sure because it's my first time owning geese for myself. And you can see he doesn't really like anybody around. He will not chase me. He usually walks away. Even when I was carrying these guys, they have incredibly sharp nails. So holding them on my shirt got ripped to absolute shreds, but they never scratched my skin. They weren't trying to bite me or anything else. They are incredibly gentle. And I grew up, my uncle actually had an entire flock of African geese, and they would chase me. All 10 to 15 of them at one time would get together and chase, and they would take huge chunks of flesh and bite. And so I was always wanting geese because of their ability to kind of turn grass and weeds into fat and an edible product. Their eggs are massive. I cannot wait to show you once they start laying eggs how big they are. But at the very, very best, you're looking at 40 eggs a year. So they don't lay a lot. So the best thing for me is to raise up these geese for meat production. But initially, I'm just going to be raising them up to get more hens and produce kind of breeding pairs. And I might actually sell a few breeding pairs. These geese are not cheap. I paid $200 for these guys, and that was a heck of a deal because of their age and being so close to maturity. And it was worth it for me. We spent a lot of time studying what breed of geese we wanted, and when these came available just a few minutes down the road, I couldn't pass that up. I'm incredibly excited. It's a big investment, so I definitely want to make sure to keep an eye on them and that they have everything that they need. But honestly, we had some issues with chicken hawks. None of them had actually gotten our birds, but they were getting more and more curious, even setting up over here on these containers, staring at the ducks and baby ducks. So I knew it was only a matter of time. And you can hear when predators or dogs, even people that aren't supposed to be here, approach, because these guys don't make their normal sound. They start honking loudly. They'll hiss too, but really they just start honking and opening up their wings, and we haven't had a single issue. The hawks have been staying away since we got these guys. I'm pretty ecstatic about that. They're absolutely beautiful too. Later I think I would like to get maybe some buff geese because the white, especially, it's been raining a lot, as you can see, just so much rain. So I think buff geese would kind of hide some of the muddiness, but these guys are doing a pretty good job of staying clean. We have to change their water much more frequently since they got them. If you think ducks keep their water dirty, they have nothing on gigantic geese. The gander over here, Dorian, he's the one cleaning his feathers. The first day I caught him mounting the hen and trying to breed, so that's a pretty good sign for me. And with the ducks laying eggs again, and some of these girls just started laying, like here's one of my girls that's a new layer who's laying. I'm pretty ecstatic. So that means maybe it'll get close enough to goose laying season that I'll actually get some eggs, and that's starting. I noticed that Nemo over here, she's been inside of this pen, and I'll go walk over there, but Dorian will probably be upset and make a lot of noise. He's always on edge, this one. I never understood what they meant by geese kind of acting like they're stuck up walking that way, but you can see like he always has his head up really high, and when he gets upset with the ducks, he will run at them with his neck out straight. Now, I've never actually seen him nip one. He's big, and that's scary to little ducks. Now, this was originally the brooder that we built for the ducklings, But, you know, they weren't really interested, to say the least. You know, we couldn't figure out how to get the temperature perfect for ducklings. Now we have it open, and it's a bit cooler outside, and Nemo seems to love it. She's getting in there, digging around, so we're thinking making some more of these as nest boxes for the geese would actually be a really great idea. It's 4 feet by 4 feet, so it's really large, and they tend to stay in this area. They like it even more than our coop. Our coop is not small. I mean, just this coop over here is 64 square feet. So it's a huge area. They have plenty of area to go in. And they go in, sometimes they'll eat the grain. They really do love, you know, fresh greens and plant material though. And some of you have been watching for a while. You know this area well. This is where they were just a couple of months ago before we extended this side. And you can see just what a big difference it is when we reseeded all of these collard greens and carrots and some peas over here. It's just a short period of time without the ducks over here has made a huge difference versus over here where they haven't been that long, but it's been raining and it's just a complete muddy mess. I mean, it really is just a nightmare. And so I think before too long we're gonna have to come in and reseed this area too, and I think this is a lot better. The grass has grown up between them, which is nice because it had a hard time keeping grass in there before we started putting the collards and carrots and root crops like turnips, spreading them around. And the benefit of this is that all the animals can eat this, but we can also eat them. We can eat the carrots, we can eat the collard greens, so it's really nice and great to see how it's coming up. The only issue I have with the geese is that the ducks previously, things like, here you can zoom in on it, this plant, all of these vining plants that I have, once they get to a certain level, that's why the has kind of the protection around it, the ducks couldn't eat them. And so it'd be easy to grow across the fence. But geese, they're 3 feet tall. These guys are huge. They're one of the largest domestic geese there are. And so they can reach all of this. They can even, you can see where they've been reaching way up here. And this is almost to my shoulders and picking off the berries, which is fine. These were grown for the animals. But it's just crazy how big they are compared to ducks. You know, and if you're used to ducks, you'll be quite amazed by the size of your geese. But I'm actually really impressed with these. These are Ebden geese. They're a German variety of geese. I've actually been studying them for a while because there's a study done in 1950s that actually shows that Ebden geese might actually be an auto-sexing breed. More subtle, of course, but they're a breed that has, when they're hatched, the males are a really light yellow and the females tend to have a gray color. And so I'm going to start, when I first start hatching these eggs, I'm going to band the newborns to the ones I think that are male or female and see how accurate that is. And honestly, if it has some accuracy, I might save to breed out the males that are lighter in color and the females that are gray that actually turn out to be the sex I thought they were. Save those for the breeding program, sell the rest, and then go from there. And maybe I can get pretty good set of geese that I can tell male or female from birth on. And I was worried with getting buff geese because I thought, how am I going to tell the difference if they're the same color? And as you can see, there is a huge difference between Dorian here and Nemo over there. Like, he's big. So I don't think that I'll have any problem telling the buff geese apart too if the ganders are significantly larger than the females. Now, as far as these geese go, I don't know if you can tell, but they have true blue eyes. So that's how I know that they're not crossbreeds. They both have blue eyes, and you can tell that they're under a year old because as they begin to age, they get wider and wider. These have this one has a light cream color on his wings, and Nemo over here, she actually has some gray spots under her feathers right there. So that's a pretty good indication that they're about 8 to 9 months old. As they get older, the color will actually become whiter. And so that's another way you can kind of age your geese. But these guys get pretty big. I'm extremely excited. If I can get a flock where I can raise them up on grass and weeds, maybe they can weed out my garden and some of the more established plants like the blackberry plants, that'll be great. I did try to feed them some blackberry leaves because I read that they would eat woodier food and plants, but they actually haven't touched any of the woody food. They're not interested in the blackberry plants or anything else. They are interested in the crops growing below them. So I thought, okay, well, during the times where I'm really focusing on blackberries and not undersowing them, maybe they can come and clean out all those weeds and clean out the insects. They also, I've seen some people say that they're herbivores. That's not necessarily true, because I've seen these guys, just since I've got them, eat crayfish, dig them up. They eat smaller insects, chasing after lizards. So they can actually eat quite a bit of different things, and I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I've been amazed just how fast they can swallow up an entire collard green plant. I mean, they just take a whole leaf and it's like it's gone in no time. They don't have the issues with choking or anything else, although they have water everywhere. They don't have the issues that the ducks have with the grain and everything else. Maybe because their mouth's bigger, I'm not sure, but I really am excited to kind of show these guys off. I've never been so excited for livestock before, so these are absolutely my favorites so far. They're really gentle giants for the most part. They herd our ducks around, but they haven't actually hurt the ducks. They just kind of keep them out of the way. One thing that's really cool though that I will say is that Dorian actually has adopted our baby ducklings. Before, when we let the ducklings out, some of the older ducks were actually picking on them. Even these two, these are the moms to the ducklings right here, and this guy, this girl over here, and they didn't want anything to do with the babies. And when I got Dorian and Nemo, they kind of took over and they protect the babies. If the big ducks start picking on them, they start walking over there and run the big ducks off. So the babies have been able to live happy and have areas to themselves, drink water, play without anybody harassing them. So I'm really proud of what good parents these geese have turned out to be. So it is raining outside. You can see the rain falling, but I wanted to hop on here and make a quick video. Unfortunately, my phone is dying. I was on the phone with my husband and I happened to see an egg outside. So in the coop when I was checking it before the rain started, and there's been a ton of water inside my coop, so I thought, or in the run for the coop, so I thought, oh man, I ended up finding a duck egg is what I saw out there. And then over here it was underneath one of these reels in the water, and then over here in the mud by where Dorian is, he's our big goose, our gander, I saw another egg, and then he kind of scared off the ducks like he is now. He's been really protective lately, and I figured it was just because they're coming to sexual maturity and kind of starting to mate. And over here, when he scared them off, right over here in this mud, I saw the very top of an egg kind of hidden. So that tells me that all of my ducks are now laying. That includes all of my Welsh Harlequin hens, which I'm ecstatic about, to have some pure Welsh Harlequins. I have 6 hens total. 4 are pure Welsh Harlequins. They are silver face. And here are some of the eggs that I found. So they're pretty good size. But the reason I absolutely want to jump on here, it wasn't just to kind of show them playing. And you can see these are our crossbreeds. They have mallard, Welsh Harlequin, and khaki camels. And look, you can see the Welsh Harlequin coloring coming into their chest right there. So these are some very mixed babies that I've kind of been following up on. But the reason that I wanted to hop on here, even in the rain, is I came inside. Now, mind you, my geese are under a year old. I made a video a couple days ago kind of showing them off. They're my first pair of geese. And I came in here and said, hey, there's some goose feathers. I think I see a duck egg. No, it is a goose egg. This is my first ever goose egg that I've ever had on my homestead. My 9-month-old geese are already laying, and I cannot believe it. Like, I am so excited, so thrilled. This is a goose egg right here, and this is the duck egg up against it. So this is kind of the comparison of an Ebden goose egg versus a Welsh Harlequin egg, duck egg. And duck eggs are significantly larger than chicken eggs, if you don't know. So if that doesn't give you some kind of crazy idea just how massive goose eggs are, I've never seen one like this before. I mean, that is huge. I am so thrilled. She kind of buried it underneath here. I wanted to I was thought about taking it inside, but I don't know anything about incubating goose eggs. I hear that they're actually kind of challenging to incubate. So I'm gonna try and sneak into this duck and goose coop while mom and dad are way over there. But I have to warn you, whenever I walk in here, they're really protective of their nest and start honking and coming over here screaming. They don't bite. They haven't bitten me, but there's potential. So I literally checked this nest before I left my house at 6 p.m. I've checked it regularly all day and not a single egg. And I know that ducks and chickens tend to lay in the mornings, but as far as my goose, it seems like she's actually laying at night. The first egg was laid at 2 p.m. yesterday, and that's the starker egg right here that's kind of dirty. And here is the second egg that was laid today, and it's actually slightly larger than the first. So I personally, this is my first time with geese and their eggs, so I didn't know what to expect. I see so many different things on, are they laying every day or is it every other day, and there's just a lot of variety. So I really want to kind of document every egg that's laid, the whole process of how many eggs get put in this nest, because I don't know. And I know that there are a lot of other homesteaders who are just starting out with geese, and they're probably looking for this information too. So I'm exhausted, and if you can't tell, these guys are really mad at me. Dorian here is my big Ebden goose. He's the father of this girl's eggs and hopefully future goslings. And she decided yesterday to go broody. She officially has 8 eggs and she is sitting on them. Guys, this is the first time they've ever seen our larger pond, so they're really interested. But he's really mad because I saw him grabbing our younger duckling's whole wing in his mouth. He started getting territorial whenever she decided to nest, but now he's taking it way too far. I mean, he has decided that a 900 square foot run is all his. He has scared all of our other ducks into hiding underneath these giant rills that we have. He's just gotten really mean. If you don't know, if you separate a mated pair of geese from each other, they will lose their minds. And I'm public enemy number 1 right now because I bounced them through this hole in the fence right here that I haven't put chicken wire up in. I put them through so that they can have their own area, like I kind of talked about the other day, for when they decide to hatch their goslings. Now, we kind of put these up, these gutters in here, just to kind of keep cold air from blowing through when we had the freeze. They're not brave enough to nip me in front, but I think they're trying to get brave enough to nip me from behind when I'm not paying attention. Sneaky little things. And so I'm kind of watching them because I don't trust them. They found all the greens. These are turnips and collards, Bates collards, purple globe-top turnips. You can see they took some freeze damage. And so they actually have lots of fresh greens, and they can pull down all these peas, which also got some pretty good freeze damage. Hopefully this is tall enough that they don't completely destroy that. But at this point, all I care about is keeping them and their goslings, if they hatch them out, safe. Because I've wanted geese for a long time, and I said before, they're really expensive. So I want these guys to have the best possible start that we can get. And so that means kind of coming in here and separating them for one, so they can't just destroy everything inside, but also so I can, whew, loud, isn't it? Open up their coop area so she has access to those eggs. And what I'm going to do is this right here that's kind of separating everything, I'm actually going to take the drill and unscrew it. It has hex screws, outdoor hex screws, and I'm going to put it on the other side where the rabbit cages and brooders are. That way she can have access to her nest, which is right here, and she cannot have access to the other animals, so that my ducks don't get completely battered while Dorian's going through his very protective fatherly stage. I have a lot of ducks. I have 13 young ducklings, some closer to about 7 weeks old, some that are about 3 to 4 weeks old, but they have pretty good feathering. And then I have my 5 Welsh Harlequins and my 3 crosses. So I do not want them to get hurt at all. They're very important to us. Okay, so here's my drill. And this is where it gets messy because, you know, I'm recording with my phone, so it looks a little crazy here. So I'm just gonna find wherever these screws are, actually, because kind of put in there last minute. Always make sure you have the drill on the right thing. That's happened to me before, trying to unscrew something and being on the wrong setting forever. It's really funny. Actually, I don't know how deep in this is. Whew, I guess I am gonna have to take it all the way out then. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Looks like there might be another screw there. I actually don't remember putting other screws in it. Let's see. We just kind of really quick threw it up so that... Here's the other screw right here. I'm kind of in a dangerous position. Although these guys have never bit me. She separated from her nest. They're really upset, and I'm nilling, so I'm a little nervous. And if you knew how protective, there's another screw right in here. I don't even know if I can get it out. It's really messed up. You can see. Oh, yeah. That looks like we're making more panels than our floor. Definitely gonna be a thing. Okay, so that's 3. Let's see if I can kind of... Dang it. I think there may be another screw somewhere in this panel that I can't see. But I'm gonna have to go through and probably just kick it out the other side. I don't have a choice. I need to get these crazy geese in here where they feel safe, and really prevent my ducks from getting harmed in the process. Okay, so actually what I had to do is pause this and run to the other side and kick this out. There were no more screws. It's just really well wedged in there. And you can see how deep the bedding is right in here. I said it was pretty deep. So there's a lot of shavings. What I'm trying to do is get this into the other side to put up to prevent them from going all the way through before Nemo and Dorian have a chance to run under here and get back in the coop with the ducks. I will say one issue I am worried about is Goose 1 and 2 trying to eat these goldfish. I don't have to worry about it because they're too big for the ducks to eat, and the ducks don't like the big pond for whatever reason, but the geese, yeah, I don't trust them. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just put this piece of plastic up. It will not prevent a giant angry goose from going through, but will keep them at bay for just a moment so I have time to run around to the other side again. Nemo, see what I mean? They're acting crazy already. They see the ducks near their nest. It's on. The ducks have already discovered that I opened this fence, and now I have one not mildly angry, but extremely PO'd goose. I'm kind of getting a little too close for comfort, really, for them, which I get, but this is what I'm talking about. This panel is pretty long. It's literally the whole length of this 8-foot coop. So this is kind of how I'm gonna go ahead and screw it in. Her nest is right here. You can see, hold it down, and there's the egg right there. So I know what the last video I posted, I kind of talked about this would probably be what happened, but yeah, I didn't expect to have a goose completely, especially one that's usually so calm, just completely going at it after my other waterfowl. So let me go back around, get some screws, and get this fastened. Okay, so I'm out of breath, guys. I'm way too out of shape for this. You can see it's not the best temporary fix because there's still this hole. I'm just hoping Dorian, being as heavy as he is and as tall as he is not going to try to squeeze through here. I'm going to have to get some kind of wire to keep him out. But this is the best I can do on short notice to kind of keep them on that side. And other than maybe the ducklings getting through, but they can get back through, just trying to prevent as many fights as possible. So hopefully this works. I'm just gonna get the geese set up and get them some food and water, and I'll keep you updated on how the broodiness goes. So I just wanted to kind of add an in edit because I know there's gonna be someone who thinks so. We did not move her nest. She's already back adjusting her eggs. She is not happy that we changed things around, but she's okay. Everyone's good. The ducks are safe. The geese have a 400 square foot area full of greens now to hatch out eggs and raise their young in peace. So hopefully everyone's happy. Guys, I'm so excited. I don't know if you can hear me. I should have probably voiced over later, but I noticed earlier Dorian has been extremely crazy, like spreading his wings out, honking, chasing all the big ducks off from everything, including water, and extremely affectionate towards Nemo. Nemo is our female goose right here. These are both Ebden geese, and as you can tell by the gray in her wings, she is a little muddy, but still very young goose. She is under a year old. She is between 9 and 10 months old, and she decided to start laying eggs right before the freeze hit. And I seriously considered taking them inside and cracking them open, but when I came out to check them, they were really warm. And so I waited, and today I came out to water all of these babies you see up here in our coop, and there was a nest dug out and all 7 eggs were exposed. I've been wondering how many eggs she'll lay, and I'm certain that she's gonna lay again later in spring and hatch a second clutch, which we'll wait and see. But look at her. She is pulling up and taking all of those pine shavings and covering her eggs, and you can watch her rolling the eggs around. You can see it's pipped. I know. Here, let me try to... She's not having it. It's this egg, right? Oops. Right there. It's pipped. And it's starting to hatch. Now she's going to bury these and keep them kind of warm. Usually, I don't come in here and bother her until it's feeding time. Mama Goose is off her nest, cleaning herself. This is the first time I've seen her off the nest in 5 days. Blair says he can't even walk in the backyard because they start screaming every time he walks by. They're really protective of their nest. And though they have a 400 square foot run, there's their nest right there and no one can get to it. They are not playing with us right now. I guess this means it's time to go make sure she has food and water, which she should. I actually already put out feed yesterday, but she didn't touch it because she's nesting and she only seems to get off once a day. But she has fresh water, but it's currently raining, so her going outside is probably going to increase the humidity of her eggs, which is actually kind of what we want to see here, right? So you can see where she's off. There's some feed over there. She's going to go deal with that and everything else. And you can see, look at her water. It's from her mixing her grain in with her water. And I swear she'll grab a mouthful of grain and mix it in there, and then her water turns a slimy color, so it really needs to be changed out every day. And of course it's raining right now, so that's a mess. You can see some puddles kind of gathering up. She'll go drink that too. She does not care. She can even stick her head into our goldfish pond over there and she'll drink some of the water out of that. She just kind of does whatever she wants. It's so funny how you can clean and water and take care of your animals and they'll find a muddy puddle to go get some water out. So what she's eating right now is forage, and it's actually turnips and collard greens that I planted inside of there. So you can see she's really enjoying that. She really cares more about this than she does grain. 85 to 90% of our geese's diet is greens. And hi, pretty girl. The cheeping you're hearing right now is actually not the baby geese. That are the ducklings. That's the ducklings inside of our coop. The rain is kind of falling on my phone, so it's changing it and making it blurry every 5 seconds. So I apologize if the picture is a little crazy right now. So if you're interested in forage crops, Johnny Seed actually has some pretty good farm forage where you can buy the turnip mixes and even peas and things of that nature, and you can actually buy a large amount. So we need a larger amount to use for our animals, and it's really nice being able to buy it in bulk like that. The price may seem like a lot, but really what you're getting, it's not, in my opinion. She's currently eating some carrots that are planted in there. She's eating grass. That's why she went ahead and buried her eggs. It wasn't just because of me. It was because she wanted to go get her a meal before those baby has hatched. Here we are. We are getting back on our nest under there. And she'll actually dig up all of the eggs and uncover them and then sit on top of them. So I'm really impressed by her mothering skills. I'm excited to see the babies hatch, but I'm really nervous in this weather. So that's something that we really need to watch out for. And if you look, all of this is actually in the area where she is nesting, all of this forage. So what I might do is where this door is right here, go ahead and put another door on that and make it so she has this big run for her babies, but she and herself, but they can't get out. And then of course I'm going to cover this with some chicken wire over this wire, and that'll ensure that they can't get out. But I'm really not concerned about that right now. I am just concerned about the weather. Do you hear this girl? She's already over here hissing at me. Usually she is crazy friendly towards me. Today she's crazy friendly. Right now she sounds like she wants to attack me. You have good mothering instinct, huh? I just want to see the babies. You know what they say, guys? It's not official until it's Facebook official, but I'm not a Facebook person, so YouTube official? Is that a thing? I just made it up. Our generation's crazy like that. Ah, look at it! I just want to see your little baby. Oh my gosh, guys. We have baby goslings. Hi, baby. Welcome to the world, sweet babies. Guys, my goose has hatched an entire clutch of goslings, and she's not even a year old. Hen hatched in Texas winter. I cannot believe this. Look at that. Oh, Mommy, you did such a good job. That's a good job, baby. Yeah. Look at what a good mommy she is. And we're not having any of the issues we had with our ducks. They were not really good moms. You know, Welsh Harlequins are supposed to be some of the best moms, and so are the Khaki Campbell mixes. Now, our Welsh Harlequins are young, but the other ones are not, so no excuses. But look at this! Look at you, Mama! I'm so proud! Guys, we have more than doubled our flock. We have more than tripled our flock. I currently see 4 babies. That is insane. I cannot believe this. You know, to go on a whim to actually find 2 geese just under a year old. They were 9 months old when we got them. It was, I believe, the first week of December. And I got them, you know, they were worried that they wouldn't lay eggs for 2 to 3 years. And I said, you know what? I'm a year in. It's a chance I'm willing to take. And here we are, 2 months into owning geese. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to move her legs too much. She actually has them pretty good. Oh, we have more than 4. 5 babies? Do we have 5? I know, I'm pushing her. I know someone's gonna get upset. I promise I'm not hurting her or the babies. Look. 1. There's still a couple more eggs under there. Are these hatching? I don't know. I don't even see any pips. 1 is pipped. So, look at that, guys. So, there you go. We can apparently successfully hen hatch goslings here. And what do we have, Mama? total, just so I have an idea. 5 babies out of 9 eggs so far. You're so good. I'm pretty ecstatic. This is probably the best thing that's happened on our homestead. So I'm just gonna check some of your babies out. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I lied. There's 6 babies out of 9 eggs. Hi, look at you. Oh, you have some gray in you. Ebden baby geese really aren't supposed to be quite this gray, guys. So I know that the hen could be kind of gray because, you know, she is under 1 year old. But the babies are not supposed to be. Now, they're thought to be an auto-sexing breed. There was actually a study done way back when in the 1950s that said that the males would be a lighter yellow and the females would have some gray to them. And they could possibly be sexed like that, but these have a lot of gray. And that's unusual for an Ebden goose. And this mama has a lot of gray, but I thought it was because she was under 1 year old. Some of them don't turn gray until they're older, so I don't know. I know she's as large as the Ebden goose, but I might have to say Ebden cross from now on. So that's it. I know you probably want some video of them running around, but it's going to be a couple of days. So I'm going to call this an end to this video and say, yes, you absolutely can let a young mom goose hatch a clutch of eggs naturally. I'm pretty ecstatic. Look who's taking the babies out for their second time. I'm pretty excited because I actually get to record it this time and share with all of you. So you can see what I mean with the Ebden geese, how there are some that are super yellow and some that are darker. And supposedly the Ebden are auto-sex breed, but like I said in a previous video, the study done on this breed was decades and decades and decades ago. So I'm not sure how outdated the information is, but it comes from what I believe is a reliable source. And I'm kind of excited to experiment with it myself. Now, this girl is, what, 10 months old now? And she is hatched out naturally. 7 baby geese in winter. She's being an excellent mom. So I'm going to be keeping all of these babies and hoping that they have the same great genetics that their parents do. I don't know what it is about ducks and geese and waterfowl. It's like they have all the area that's green and beautiful, and they always are like, oh, look, a mud puddle. That's where I want to dig for food at. So here's the hose I was talking about for the pond. You can see that'll go to my garden beds. It's pretty awesome. I could watch this all day, guys. I could watch this mama goose hang out with her babies all day, every day, and never get tired of it. That Dorian is now on this side with his family. He was freaking out about being over here, and I just wasn't sure how I would react because the babies weren't hatched on this side, but a couple of them kept being escape artists trying to get to their father, and he would actually chase the ducks away from his goslings and keep them safe and even warm them up until they went back over here with mom. They followed him just like they follow her, eating, enjoying themselves. You can see over there, that pink thing on the ground, that's actually part of a dragon fruit that they were eating. And so with him running back and forth and taking such good care of the goslings, I decided that maybe I'd try letting him see over the fence and how he reacted. And he immediately started flapping his wings. Now, if you don't know this, there's nothing like a 30-pound goose start flapping its wings when you're holding it. It is pretty scary, freaky. I don't know. Have you ever gotten hit by a duck wing? I have. I don't want to get hit by a crazy goose's wing. So I guess a crazy gander swing. But either way, I ended up letting him go through the fence, and he's been doing great, feeding and taking care of the babies, showing them how to eat. right now they're over there, and of course they waited until I took out the camera and started recording. There's actually a blue container that's over 2.5 feet high, and they're eating all of last year's herbs out of it. They're actually ripping out the woody stems of my Jerusalem sage, which is fine. It works out, honestly, and I'll start something new there eventually. But it's pretty cool to see them just kind of cleaning up all of the areas of the garden, taking the peas off the trellis, clipping back everything. And one thing that they've been doing that's actually interesting and really cool, it makes me feel like a high achiever, actually. I don't know if that's the right words. It makes me feel like I did something right seeding this area. And that would be, yes, you're going to see part of the fence in here, guys. I'm filming through the fence. I have my house shoes on. I'm not trying to get them all muddy. And by house shoes, I mean my tennis shoes and not my water boots. So here we are. These are the forage turnips that I planted. They're the purple top globe, white globe turnips. Oh, I love them. They're so good. I actually tried a leaf the other day and it was super sweet with all this cold weather. And you can see they look like little skeletons here in the garden. And that's because all of my geese, including all 7 goslings, have been eating back the leaves. The cool thing about turnips is the leaves are just keep producing over and over again until they either go to seed or you harvest the turnip. Now, I'm going to harvest the turnips before they go to seed. Could I eat these turnips? Yeah, you bet yourself I could, and I probably will. You know, I need to make sure they're well washed, but I take really good care of my birds. I know that they're not riddled with disease. I know that they don't have anything that can hurt them. If it was in a different type of industry where I thought, oh, well, it's probably going to be riddled with E. coli or something else, probably wouldn't eat it. But if you're that type that's freaking out right now, thinking that I'm going to poison my family and myself, it's cool. The good news is if you have other livestock, they'll eat the turnips. Rabbits will eat the turnips. Pigs will eat the turnips. Chickens will eat turnips. Slice them up where geese can break them down. They will eat turnips. Ducks are special. They'll probably choke on the turnip. They have a tendency to eat things that they shouldn't. A duck would try to eat a goldfish twice its size and end up choking. I love my ducks, but sometimes it seems like I sacrificed all of the good traits that they have for intelligence, honestly. If you actually look closely here, you can see a turnip is forming, and quite a few of them. This is just one of many turnips that has formed, and now that all of the greens are gone, you can really see it pretty well. I'm ecstatic about that. I absolutely love gardening. I love lazy gardening. As you know, this used to be our duck area, so I just let the ducks do all the work. They fertilized this. It sat for a while they got put on the other side. I came in, I completely reseeded the entire area just by sprinkling turnips and carrots and collard green seeds right on top of the soil. And then it's just been growing all of this time. And I actually made a video about it if you think that I'm crazy for doing it. It works so well, and before the freeze you could have seen just how much there was. And then even after that, my geese have been eating and eating and eating this for days, mama and baby. So I just love it. I think that it's a great way to do things. And I got all my seeds for $1 scoop from the feed store while they were liquidating all of their turnip seeds. That means I literally got 200,000+ seeds for $5. I'm not even kidding. It was how many ever seeds could fit into the scooper, and this scooper was massive. It was a couple of tablespoons deep. So I'm pretty ecstatic. Now, this is pretty awesome. You can kind of see they're just doing a grand job. I'm so in love with these geese. They're not doing a great job of keeping their water cleaned, and because it's raining, all the feed that they didn't eat is just mash. So that's gross. So I'm actually gonna have to go inside and get on my water boots and clean all of this out and probably take away the grain for a little bit or just put some on the ground, but they don't really seem interested in it. it is supposed to rain again today and tomorrow and the next day and the foreseeable future. So if you don't see a ton of videos, that's why. I'm just going to be inside working on my schoolwork because I'm still a full-time student and I'm a mom of 4. And, I don't know, enjoying having an excuse to do nothing else, you know, because it's raining. I don't really know. So here's Dorian and his gang just kind of hanging out. You can see them through the fence. There's not a ton going on outside. My crabapple tree is blossoming, and that is absolutely breathtaking. But other than that, these babies are just kind of growing and living their best life with their parents right now. So if you've kind of heard the rumor that both geese and ganders make excellent parents, I'm here to tell you that I tested out and this rumor is absolutely true. Both Dorian and Nemo are the absolute best parents. We love them so much. I'm so proud of them. I just can't believe how well they're doing, and I can't wait to see their babies grow up and become parents themselves. It's gonna be fun, me living in the city, even though I'm in a HOA-free, unrestricted area, and because my kids are in 4-H, we can kind of get away with having certain animals. And also, I do try to keep the noise down for my neighbors, but, I mean, 9 geese. Lost my mind. The babies are having so much fun eating these turnip greens with their parents that came from our front garden because they have eaten all of the turnips, including the roots, out of this area. So I actually went to Johnny Seeds online this weekend and bought 5 pounds of turnip fodder seeds to grow food for these geese, and it cost me $25. And while that may sound like a lot, when you think about it, you're talking about 1 million turnip seeds. I'm not exaggerating. So for me, it's completely worth it being able to grow that amount of food for these animals. I didn't expect the geese to eat all of those turnips, including the roots. And they did. So what I did was, it was finally time, since the babies are bigger, to go ahead and clean out the coop area. So I raked all of that out last night and I put it on top of where their turnips were, right here in their run. And I even gave them this bucket last night and filled it with clean water and cleaned out their water. So you can see it looks a little different than it has been in the last couple videos, but it's still really cool. And what's left of the turnips will pop back up through these, and I can also reseed in here. The great thing about shavings, this is pine, and it's just going to break down and enrich the soil, and also give all of our clay soil a really good texture as it does so. So, as these babies start to get older, we were trying to figure out how we would know exactly when we need to take the divider off and let the parents and babies rejoin the flock. But I think now is going to be a perfect time because all of our goslings have decided to escape from their parents and join the rest of the flock instead of in their safe little area where they can forage and hang out with mommy and daddy. So I guess now would be the perfect time to go ahead and let them join everyone else and become one big happy family, although I'm not sure how Nemo and Dorian are going to react because they're pretty crazy and overprotective, so I'm kind of nervous that they'll start flinging ducks around like they did when they started laying eggs. I was over here worried about the goslings getting in with the ducks and thinking that the ducks would pick on them, but one of the ducks just got too close to the goslings and went to nip at its tail, and it turned around and chased off that duck completely. If you hear all that noise, that's Dorian and Nemo freaking out because their babies decided to get where they're too big to squeeze through. So they're not impressed with their babies right now at all. Larry's helping me take out the divider, but it was buried so far down. You can kind of see just what I mean by how many shavings we have, because look at this. I mean, that's a lot of shavings deep in here. And you can hear Nemo and Dorian hissing. They're trying to figure out what's going on. So pretty soon they'll figure out that this is now open and they can come back to the side with their babies. Hi! I can't believe how big you guys are. Look at you guys. Hey, Nemo. Calling her babies back. Are you excited to be back? Access to all the water? I'm a little nervous about the goslings being able to get in the mud, but since they can come through either way, what can I do, right? What did that take? All of like 25 seconds for ducks to start coming through? Oh my gosh, a whole new area to explore. And because the geese get to be over here, it must be special. Don't get testy with me, Dorian and Nemo. Seriously? Cranky parents. You still have fresh greens over there and food and water, and you decide to come over here in the ducks' filthy, dirty duck area and eat their food. Okay, so this is the gosling's first swim, and I know it's just in muddy puddles because everything's kind of started draining because it was dry for a couple days and not raining, but it's so cute. Our baby goose is just learning how to honk, guys. Okay, so I don't even have my glasses on yet. I just walked outside to check and see how the birds were doing, and 4 of them are in the pond, and it looks like Nemo is struggling to get out. I'm trying to wait just a couple minutes to see why she's not trying to go down the stairs. She gets in here quite frequently, so I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm gonna go around and see if I can't help her, but I'm pretty sure this girl is gonna freak out and run away from me because that's what Nemo does. This is kind of terrible because I don't even have shoes on and I'm in the goose and duck pen, but I mean, what am I supposed to do? Leave my goose in here? See, she has this right here. Nemo, what are you doing? I just don't understand what you're thinking right now. Come on, girl. The water is significantly lower than it should be, which is really weird. So, let me pause this video and see if I can't catch this crazy goose. So, I've all but given up because I've tried for quite a while now to get them where I can grab them out of this pond, and I'm not getting into the pond. There's absolutely no way. But her and her gosling get just out of reach where I can't grab her, like within a foot within reach. And I'm just not tall enough to reach the 2 of them, but there were a couple of ducks in here with them, and they managed to get right on out down this platform, no problem. And they're significantly smaller than Nemo is, and I'm not sure what's going on because she's in panic mode trying to get out a different way than usual when she always gets out using this platform. It's never been an issue whatsoever. I have no idea what she's thinking, but she's also kind of leading her baby astray, which I'm more worried about the baby than I am about Nemo. Nemo will eventually figure it out, but that baby is not fully feathered, and I do not want it to get waterlogged. So I'm standing right here until these two decide to get out. And Dorian and the other babies are not. Charlie, go get your shoes on and help me get these two out of the pond, because they look like she's stuck. Okay, so Charlie's up and he came outside, so I'm going to see if he can help me, because that's the only way I'm going to do it, if one of us kind of stand on one side and kind of scare her towards me where I can grab her. And once I grab her, the baby, he won't be easy to grab, but maybe it'll be easier without the mom panicking. I definitely don't want that baby to sink. That would be really bad. I think what concerns me the most is these guys get in and out all the time. This isn't, you know, anything new. For the last week I've seen them in and out of the pond, so I could think that's why I'm a little confused. But also, the pond was completely full last night, and I'm guessing between the ducks and the geese splashing in it, they've actually lowered the water level like 4 inches. So what I did, since at the time nobody was out here with me, I went ahead and I turned on the water hose, and you can see it over here. I tied it to this T-post here near the drain, and I'm filling up their water with their water hose that I use, the high pressure nozzle. So I'm hoping that at the very least, if we're still struggling to get them out, even after Charlie comes out to help, then maybe the water will get high enough that they'll just go back on their own. Although the baby can almost climb out in the area it's not supposed to, so I absolutely don't understand what in the world they are thinking. Here, this is their platform, so they're coming back over there. Especially with the ducks being able to do it. Nemo, you're so much bigger than the ducks. Okay, here's the, what is that? What is it? Goldfish. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the baby just did that. Oh man, I'm about to make this harvesting video, you know, and I look up and look at this. They have broke through the temporary fence and are out grazing in areas they're not supposed to. Now I have to get them in really fast. This is crazy. Because I don't know if you've ever had to deal with escaped geese. It's not fun. What are you guys doing? What have y'all done? How did they manage to pull all this down is beyond me. I can actually see. So what they've done is, these are the zip ties that held on this fence, because it's just cheap fencing, right? They ripped holes in the fence. They pulled on the fence until they tore a big hole in it and caused it to fall. So that means right now these guys cannot be out here grazing because of this big mess. Now they can just come out in the front yard, which is not cool. So you can see this is their area, and I've shown it before more recently. You booger heads. Man, good thing I was out here filming. And look at this bumblebee. Oh, way to go. Over here somewhere. It's not impressed with me. I get nervous about bumblebees, guys. There are so many out here in the garden, and I've been stung by bees. Bumblebees are huge. That's not a bee I want to be stung by. Okay, y'all have to go back up. Y'all have to go up because you tore open the fence, and you can't be outside with a torn open fence. Go. Go. Everybody go. Look at them. They're like, we're not going up. We want to be out here. Yep, I want you guys out here, or I wouldn't have spent all that time building the fence up. But, and of course they're going to run towards that area that's open. Y'all have to go. Go up. Not okay. Come on. Especially you guys. It looks like it's probably the babies that did all of that. So they're just going to have to go hang out in here for now. And I need to get more pine and shavings and stuff down. I just haven't had the chance. I came in here, I was talking on the phone, and I opened the gate, and these guys who are used to kind of coming out here, you can see this is a different area than what I was showing last week and the week before. This is our backyard, and it holds a lot of water. Now, it had finally dried up quite a bit, and then the rain's just been pouring down for days and days, and it was actually sprinkling a little bit a few moments ago. So I fully expect, you know, it to pick back up again at some point. But as soon as I opened this door right over here to go gather eggs and to grab their feeder to move it to a different location, everybody just ran past me as fast as they could. Yesterday they didn't get out. Now their pen is massive, you know, they have so much space to run and play in, even a small pond in there. And by small I mean it's like 3,500 gallons. So they have quite a bit of space, but they're absolutely they just love it out here to be able to kind of find their own food and insects, just delicious treats for them. And you know, this is what animals do. They prefer eating bugs and crayfish, and these guys love eating grass. These are our geese, and you can see just how big they've gotten. This is Nemo right here, so she's their mother, and here's one of her goslings. It's almost as big as she is, just has to fill out a little more. You can see just how huge they've gotten over time. I think that this is a male, but it also has some gray on its rump, so I'm kind of curious if it really is. This one I'm pretty certain is a male over here. And you can notice they're all starting to get a little bit more independent. They kind of wandering off. This one's way over here grazing, where just about a month or so ago, they were right next to their mom and dad. And here's their daddy's getting more independent. Now, Nemo, I think I said this before when I did an update on the geese. She's kind of swollen underneath. So I think that she may actually start laying eggs again, like a second clutch this spring, because she laid her eggs in December and they hatched out in January. And so it's just, now it's spring and it's getting to that time where she might actually lay 2 clutches a year, just because one in the early year of spring and one in around Christmas time. But I really don't know for sure, but seeing it kind of swelling out there says that maybe she's getting ready to nest, because whenever she gets close to nesting age, I notice that underneath she gets a little swollen. It almost looks like she's carrying an egg down in that area, and you can see what I mean, how it's a little more swollen. Now, Ebden geese have a lot of extra fat down in that area and stuff because of them being a meat breed and also good sitters, so that could account for it, but I don't think so. You know, I really do think this has something to do with getting ready to nest. So that's kind of interesting and something I'm gonna watch. Now, I'll update you over time, because maybe not, maybe that's just how she's built, but I do think that there's something to all of this. And you can see now the babies are all hanging out. Now, this deer fencing is what I'm using, and I think I've said, you know, it was about $25 a roll, but it's so easy to tear, really, I guess is the word for it. So here it is, you know, and the birds will just walk up and they'll pull at it, and the ducks, I don't think, are ripping it as well because they don't have teeth, but geese have teeth in their mouth, especially on their tongue. They have teeth. It helps them grind up food and grass really well. And so what I think is that the geese see grass on the other side and they're pulling at the different areas where the zip ties are, and it's causing holes to be created. So it does, and look at this. That one saw an insect on the net, and so he was pulling at it. And so yeah, you can see him pulling at the fencing right now. Hey, what are you doing, guy? I have my water boots on, so somewhere. There they are. And they're not interested. Now I'm here, they're not interested in doing it anymore. You can see the deer nettings kind of in the grass, so. These little boogers are testing my patience, because it has been so difficult to get any video of them without them running away, and on top of it, they've been exceptionally cranky, and when the kids come in here to try and feed, the babies are now big enough that they try to chase the kids, so they're a little bit crankier than their parents are. So that's something that I didn't anticipate, because their parents are pretty chill, but I have my eye on these guys. Now, as you can see, that little one in the front, they're not so little now. I keep saying little ones because they're only about 3 months old, and man, they are growing fast. So to me, they're little ones because they're the babies, but they're not so little. You can see these in the back are the size of their parents, which is absolutely insane. It really is. This one up here closest to me is their mom, and she's kind of preening herself, but the rest of them are just trying to avoid me. Realistically, that's what they're doing. I mean, honestly, anywhere I decide to walk, they're deciding to go in the opposite direction, which is crazy because usually they're chasing me around to see if I have any treats, or right now it's mostly like turnips from the garden is a lot of what I bring them, and they're annoyed with me because I didn't bring any, and so they're just like, go away, annoying human who doesn't bring us treats today. One thing that I really wanted to update on was not just the sheer size. One thing I noticed is that they are becoming a lot more vocal and actually honking. Now, they started honking about 5 weeks ago, but you can hear them now. They have no more baby sounds whatsoever. They do make this really cute whistling sound for a good 2 months, and then they start to make a honking sound, and very quickly after they start figuring out how to honk, that cute baby whistle goes away completely. So that's one thing I noticed. Another thing that I've never said, but I think it's really important to note, is that that fleshy pink part on the end of their bill, they do not get that until they are about between 4 and 6 weeks old. I think 6 weeks is really when I noticed it. They always had it, but it becomes more prominent. Their bills really start to change colors and brighten up, especially as they feather out. Now, if any of you have been following these babies from hatch, you know that they were yellow and gray. So the females tend to have some gray on them, and the Upton geese, especially if they're under a year old. And so their parents are just barely a little bit over a year old. They were 9 months old when I got them, and they immediately started laying eggs, which was really incredible. I was super excited about that. I was not expecting eggs for at least another year. So I'm hoping that these girls will actually lay this winter with their mom, and if all 3 lay and naturally hatch out their eggs, not only would that save me so much work and space in the incubator, so I honestly do not know and have never personally hatched goose eggs out. Now, I've seen someone do it. My uncle hatched out a lot of African geese when I was a kid, and I remember some of the process, but I have not done it all by myself, so I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm sure Google can help, but it is a lot. And see what I mean? They're all just tired of me already. Now that they're closer, you can see how all of those neck feathers, the way that they look, they're all getting them in their neck. That's something that previously the babies did not have, which is really cool. Look at this one's eating some of the grain out of here. It's a little harder to see because it's starting to get dark and we're in the coop. It would just take too long to turn on the light, and then they would run off by then because I unplugged the light earlier, because for whatever reason the geese keep coming through and purposefully trying to grab the cord, and I think that's both dangerous and a huge hazard for them, especially if they just decide to run through and run into the cord, let alone trying to pull it with their bills. Crazy geese. If you don't know, geese actually have some really sharp teeth on their tongues in their mouths, so they can actually chew through that cord if they wanted to, and that would be a horrific experience for everyone involved. The geese, especially me, it would be very dangerous. I just don't think that would be cool. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to go ahead and rethink that light that's up there and the way that I plug it in. So the goose that's in the coop is actually their mama. And then back here is Daddy, that's Dorian. And then these three are all the babies. I'm not sure how this girl got so muddy. I'm guessing back where the little tiny blue pool is, because there's not mud anywhere else but that dirty water that's come out of that pond, little pool. And that's what's causing her to get muddy, I'm guessing. And they have this giant pond over here and access to it, and yet they're choosing to take over the kiddie pool, which was really supposed to be for the baby ducks to use, because they are just too small to get into that big pool yet and get out safely. I keep saying pool. The big body of water is a pond, and the little one is a small kiddie pool from our local grocery store that we just had for a few years. And I know I keep calling them both by the other's name. I just get it confused. So little, it's always, whether pond or pool, always referring to the kiddie pool, and big pond or pool will always refer to the largest body of water out here. I'm sorry for the confusion. But here you can kind of see an example of those feathers coming in on this one's neck. And then I don't know what's going on with those random feathers on this one's head. That's really strange the way that they're laying. Actually, a couple of them. So I wonder if that's the neck feathers coming in and they're just not laying like they should for whatever reason. It looks really silly. And there's their mama right there. She finally came out. And on her neck you can really see those ruffled up feathers. And that's what the babies are starting to get. Now, on these babies, this one I'm pretty sure is a female, like 100% certain. She's a girl because she has gray on her body. She was actually she was yellow but mostly gray tinged when she was a baby. And so we're pretty sure she was a girl, but she's also the size of her mom, and she has a very small head and neck compared to one of the other goslings. Now, this one, still fairly small. It looks a little bigger up close, but one of them over there, you can't tell, has a pretty big neck. So this one up here has a little neck, and then this one right here is the one with the big neck. And so we're thinking, although we're confused, this one might be a gander. The issue is it's still not very big. It's a little taller than its mom, but not towering over everyone like Dorian. But what I'm thinking is going to happen now that they're 3 months old and fully feathered for the most part, they are going to, and by fully feathered I mean even their neck ruffles are in. I really got to figure out what that name for those neck ruffles are and stop calling it that. I think now this one, within the next 2 or 3 months, we'll see, and if it grows to be massive compared to the rest of them and starts looking more and more like Dorian, then it'll be confirmed that this is 100% a gander. So that's something to kind of pay attention to with Ebden geese. They do not make different sounds. They do not really have distinct markings, other than the girls tend to have some gray in their feathers, whereas the males after a certain age really don't. But what you're seeing on this guy's bottom half is not gray feathers, it's mud. And the only telltale sign is just the sheer size of the animal. And also, it really is true that the ganders tend to walk more like on alert with their heads held high, and then they just have significantly longer necks. So there is a major size difference, and it may be hard to see in the camera. People often ask, how do you tell them apart? But when you're in person, there's no mistaking that 10 to 15 pound difference. And they say that Ebden geese are really not supposed to be 30 pounds, but Dorian is massive. He is the largest goose I've ever seen. So I would say, yes, your geese could definitely get over that size for sure. Honestly, if you're raising Ebden geese for meat, I'd say about 3 to 4 months is a pretty good time to go ahead and butcher them. Even though they're not full size, it would still probably be really tender meat, and they are twice the size of a meat chicken. I mean, they are just absolutely massive. And overall, other than probably gaining fat, they're not gonna get much bigger from this point from like a meat to food ratio, I guess, perspective, because after about 3 months they're eating so much, they're just not gaining as much weight per pound of feed as they are as babies. So that's something to really consider, because unless you're breeding, it's just not worth it. So if you want to raise for meat, which a lot of people raise geese for meat, I don't see the point of raising them for eggs, because like our hen, she laid I believe it was 11 eggs and 9 hatched. So, and they were all fertile. I did check, they were all fertile. The other 2 just didn't make it all the way, and it was the first 2 that were laid that did not make it. And I know that because I dated them to make sure with Pencil. So for me, I'm not going to sit around and collect goose eggs because they just don't lay that many. It's more beneficial to have geese, especially because I wanted to expand my flock, and now we have at least 2 more hens and what we believe is another gander. So that gives us 2 ganders and 3 hens, and yes, this ratio will work just fine. You can pair them up one-on-one. You can do 2 ganders with 3 hens. I've even seen some people who do a more commercial operation do as many as 5 hens to 1 gander, but I don't know if I would do that many personally. But for me, having 2 ganders to 3 hens works out really well, and that's what I'm gonna stick with.
How long has it been?
So my son's fascinated that you can pair up geese from the same parents. You seem kind of fascinated.
I'm weirded out.
Oh, you're weirded out. Oh, I guess that would make more sense. But also, you know, with ducks you can't have that many males to females, so that's probably something that you're gonna have to get used to.
Mr. Duck.
Yeah, look at them. But anyways, it's starting to get kind of dark here, and I think we're gonna go ahead and head in because I hear a lot of thunder in the distance. So thank you guys for kind of hanging out and watching some of our geese and the changes that are happening. I'm not sure there will be many more update videos with our geese lately, because they're growing so much, but it's mostly weight gain at this point, and height. They're pretty much grown, they're feathered, so unless they start laying or do something really cool, there's just not any point in continuing to do weekly or monthly updates on them. But I'll still show them, and I'll show you the different nesting areas that we plan on building, so more about free ranging and other details. As I learn about geese, I'll be sharing them with you. So just don't be surprised when you don't see a goose video nearly as often. I know some of you are here mostly for the goose videos. The cool thing is that they're grown. The sad thing is that it's just not as much to document anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and head in. I hope everyone else has a great night.